thrilled. Thank you so much, Justin. All right, I'm excited. I don't know how many of you know what a chat GPT or know what a custom GPT is or have played around much with that stuff, but excited to explore with all of you today. All right, I got to press down. I'm not very great. Go through this presentation. That's the right button. Yes. Okay. So the road to Lori Night, it's very messy. It's very complicated. But the biggest thing I want you to take away from this slide is I've been and done so many different things and been a part of so much that didn't work or was complicated or whatever, that it's given me a window into a bunch of use cases in a bunch of different departments in a bunch of different industries. So that's the hat that I wear coming in here today. And feel free to check out my LinkedIn profile for more details on that. So now, I know they talked about donating to Applied AI, but wouldn't it be great if I could have a mic, or you guys, the next presenter, could have a mic or a monitor? So feel free to scan that and give them a little love. Now, today's goal, I'm hoping you hear just one new thing that you can walk out and be like, hey, I want to give that a try. And maybe today, as we go through things, you might actually get to try it and see it in action here. All right, I look at all of these generative AI tools like a public garden, right? The large language models, that's the soil. It's up to us. We are the gardeners. We get to make stuff grow, right? And we're also the ones responsible for weeding out all the bad expletives. So that's how I see LLM tools. Now, as we talk about custom GPTs, right? I like to think of these as the potted plants, right? It is contained. You are giving it a particular thing you want it to do, so you don't have to keep asking the same thing over and over again. You also might think of it, for technical minds, maybe like that app on your phone that has a particular use case for you. So why build a custom GPT? It's something you're doing over and over again. You find yourself repeating it all the time. You want consistency. So sometimes if you're working somewhere and there's multiple people on your team and you want the voice, brand, tone to be consistent, they can have conversations with a custom GPT. I just heard a use case. A friend of mine is covering a maternity leave somewhere, and they gave her a custom GPT to continue in their tone and everything that they did to help her cover that time temporarily. So that's a use case for you right there. Sharing is caring. All of us, what we have in our brain, man, that's a ton of proprietary data right here. So sometimes if you want to scale something or you want other people to have some of your knowledge wherever you are, custom GPTs can be a great way to scale the awesome that is you. And someday, I believe that's going to be the new gig economy. It's going to be our digital twins, and people are going to pay to interact with our digital twins. Don't quote me, don't hold me to that, but that's kind of where my head is at. And then here we go. I know people, and I'll show you how to do this, who are creating their own dream teams with simulated agencies that they're building with one person. So now we're going to do some hand raising. I'm curious, who in this room in ChatGPT knows where to explore and find a custom GPT? All right, about half the room. Who has actually gone in and interacted with a custom GPT? All right, quite a few of you. Who has built a custom GPT? Who wants to share what they've built and what they're using it for?
I built a coach, like a leadership coach. I uploaded all my personal tasks, like you name it, the personality tests, and I said, you are my business person, leader coach, and it's freaking amazing. It knows me very well, knows my weaknesses. That's one of them. That's my favorite.
That's your favorite one.
Yeah.
Who else?
I replicated the tool to allow you to apply for 50 to 1,000 jobs at one time.
Did everybody hear what she said? Heck, yeah. One more. Way in the back.
I helped a friend who's a teacher build out a GPT where we put in all their curriculum, and so they can go in and get ideas for new assignments if students aren't scaffolding well with their current assignments, and then their student populations are high in ELL needs and SPED needs, so they can specialize in content and get extra feedback for their classes.
Awesome. And the use cases in education are incredible. I'm working with a school district. When we went to teach them how to build custom GPTs, one of the first things they said is, gosh, we need something for all of our policies, right? When people are asking, this happened, and this happened, and this happened. And literally, while we were sitting in this class, one of their guys built a custom GPT around their policies. So the time to build these things is it's fast. What takes time is the testing. All right, so for those who are unfamiliar with where to find these custom GPTs, it's going to be on the left-hand side, and it's going to be called Explore GPTs. And now, as of today, there's a new thing under here for images called Library. That's brand new today, so you might see that too. But Explore GPTs and then Create. That's the how behind the mechanics of it. When you look under the hood, you have options. You can create using Create, where it takes you through a series of questions. And had you asked me a year and a half ago when this came out, I mean, this is great. It just walks me through and asks me the questions. But in watching this in practice, I see people getting hung up by the back and forth questions on the Create tab. So what I've learned is Configure seems to work better. And this is where it is going to call up what you'd call a form that you need to fill out. And OpenAI ChatGPT has gotten so good, or even folks can use Gemini, to start building out all of these fields. You can even take a picture of this and say, hey, I want to build this custom GPT about X. Here's the fields I need to fill out. How would you do it? You can start there and literally work with OpenAI to build your custom GPT. And there's just what some of the fields are, so that you know, is this one going to be visible to someone else? How's the different data used that you are filling out? I believe the mechanics is the easy part. It's all of the thought that goes into creating these that sometimes can be a little harder, right? So I built this with Napkin. I don't know if you guys have heard of Napkin AI, but it makes really cool little diagrams for people like me who aren't like naturally visually seeing things in diagrams. So the first step with your custom GPT, identify the specific problem and your audience, because it's really important you know who is going to use the tool, right? If it's just you using the custom GPT, it's going to look a lot different than if other people are using the GPT, or if it's internal users versus external users. Shape your output. Determine the format of your responses. This came into play because Brian Piper from the University of Rochester was talking about how they built a travel policy custom GPT. And it's like, if someone asked, or wait, maybe this is, I don't know. They asked like, hey, can I get reimbursed for whatever? Well, guess what? If it's wrong, that person's gonna be really upset. And so they made sure that it cited different areas of the sources with the answer, gave a confidence level of where it was and when it answered the question, it also gave other options. So when you're building these, those are things to be thinking about. How important is it right? Who's using this information? What happens if it's wrong? You can provide the context. So for instance, you can upload, I think, up to 20 PDFs currently, but with the team accounts, I don't know if you're familiar, but there's free tier, plus tier, team tier, pro tier. But with the team tier now, they're connecting right to your Google Drive. So they're rolling that out. You get to set your tone and personality. So I know for mine, they're all like sarcastic and make you laugh. But not everybody wants that. There's a time and a place for that. And establishing boundaries. What if someone asks something that's way out of scope for what you've developed? How do you want it to answer? And you get to decide. So this is the capital framework. I learned this from a Coursera thing, and I thought it really stuck with me. Confidence. How do you want it to answer? How friendly do you want it to be? Like, dude, we're working on this. Yeah, I got your back. Or is it more professional? Here's our policy. Here's the information you need. Here's where it's coming from. Interactivity. Do you want it to ask questions? So for instance, I created a GPT that makes fun of the day's news because I can't handle all the news every day. And it's interactive because it asked me, do you want this super spicy or mild? And do you want it for a 12-year-old or for a news nerd? And so I'm able to determine the output based on it asking me questions. Yes.
Can you share that one?
Yes, I will. I totally will. Transparency. Again, you can make sure that it gives links. So sometimes you can say, here's that source of that information and have that come out in your answers. And adapting to the user style. I have not played around that much with that. So if anybody has experience with how that's worked, I'd love to hear it. And lexicography. So that's just knowing, again, who your audience is and how you want those answers to come out. Any other questions about the capital framework? This is the part where you test and refine. And this is the preview side, right? And I'm going to tell you something. You're going to start asking questions of how it's doing. And you may get an answer you like, but finally when you're like, hey, that's pretty decent, you're going to get an opportunity to publish it. Publish it to viewers yourself only. Because chances are, even if it worked in this preview thing, it ain't going to perform the same in production. I've had multiple times where I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, it's perfect. And then I press publish and it does not work how I expected. So the other thing, my other piece of advice is as you're building these, start simple. They tend to get confused if you ask them to do too much, so gradually build. So this, if you are making a GPT for other users besides yourself, this is a fabulous way to test and get ideas for how you should be testing your custom GPT. This helps you at least start your list before you work with other stakeholders who you will definitely want to be testing and using it with a small pilot. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with this functionality. It missed it, but you can @ a GPT now. So I'll open my benchmark GPT and I'll @ my custom GPT. So you can see it in here in the added in the chat. So it will be able to go through and give me test cases specific to my doom scroll detox GPT. And that's a huge helper. But in order to do that, it has to be published, at least for yourself.
It doesn't have to be published publicly?
No. But I was really impressed by it in terms of how it gave me some different ideas that I might have not thought to test. This is what you're going to totally run into this. I'm telling you, it's gonna not work, or after 3 months, it's gonna stop working. I leverage ChatGPT a lot to go back in and say, here's the problem I'm having, here's my instructions, can you help me? And it's really good. Or what else do you need from me? And just keep tweaking and testing again. And don't think because you built a ChatGPT once, it's ready to go. It won't need to be updated or checked every time OpenAI does a release. There's always new models. And so we were just on a call today, right? We got O3 and O4 Mini and Alphabet Soup. And people are like, all right, the custom GPTs, I don't think work with those new models yet, but I do believe they work with 4.5. Maybe we'll test that while we're here today. Also, when it comes to publishing, you're gonna have different options depending on your environment. If you're on a Plus account, you're not gonna be able to share with Zapier, and I got this from their training deck because believe it or not, over OpenAI, they had my favorite like how-to little guide that I'll share with you guys too in terms of the mechanics. So here are some of my favorites. This is the secondhand specialist. And what it does, the problem he was trying to solve was he and his wife posted a ton of stuff on Facebook. And it was a pain in the, and he was taking a bunch of time. So he created this thing where he just takes pictures of his items, uploads the picture, it gives him the title, the description, what he should charge for it, and he gets them all in his chat. And then he says, put this into an Excel for me so I can upload this to Facebook. So I tried it with a few of my items at home, and I found it to be fascinating. And the guy who did this is Brian Piper, so you can also search. He did a culinary one. He's got like a family with 6 kids, and he had to go grocery shopping once a week, and he's like, it was too hard, so I fed it all of my family's likes and dislikes for food, and I told it, gave it the map of my grocery store, and now it tells me every Sunday I go shopping, what we need, what order it is, so I know it can go to the grocery store, and it's all in order of how I put it in my cart. But his stuff's really cool, and this is the University of Rochester guy that blew my mind. And he's a real person, right? Which is kind of fun. So, imagination chat. Okay, this is a guy I met, and he actually taught me so much just this week. Sora is not just for video. Sora is becoming the new Instagram. You can like stuff. It's social. It is crazy. It's and he did not do Call of Duty, but that just happened to be there when I was there. But as you can see, there's likes. You're going to get My Media, which will show up now as library in your custom GPT. You can create folders with your images and remix others. Okay, so the story behind Let My Peeps Go. I was working on something because we got Jewish people going to an Easter egg hunt, and he was talking about how he's Jewish and his wife, and they were going to do Easter. So somehow his brilliant mind went to Let My Peeps Go. But Daniel is so up on things. I absolutely love following him. He's in KC, and maybe the best part is how we met. Has anybody heard of Bordy AI? Okay, Bordy AI. I don't know if it's a good idea or a bad idea, but I did meet Daniel through Bordy. Is it you have a phone conversation, it calls you and it interviews you, and then it'll send you like, I think you need to meet so-and-so. And it sends each of you a note. And so both Daniel and I said yes, and I now consider him my friend. I mean, today he just texted me more Peeps pictures because he was so excited about where I was. But again, a lot of these custom GPTs, there's real people behind them. And I do love that. So this, take that, if you want to build your first custom GPT, Kathy and I, our friend Vicky, created this one. We met her through the AI Salon. She's actually coming out to speak at Mini Bar about Midjourney. But this is a very helpful tool. And what I'm going to show you next, but I'll wait till you guys get the screenshot of the custom GPT builder. And by the way, at the end of the I will send the presentation to everybody if they're willing to subscribe. So I know that's like. So the deal with that is my biggest tip too, when building custom GPTs, is to have 2 tabs open. Does everybody know how to like duplicate a tab and all that fun stuff? So when you right click, like let's say you got Chat GPT open, right click, and then it opens a second tab for you. And what you can do is start a brand new chat in one tab while you have your configure and all your fields in the other. So you're really working together with your AI thought partner on how to best build your GPT. Oh, and there's Vicky, by the way.
She's amazing.
Amazing. Her art, I love it so much, and I'm excited for her to come back to Minnesota. She is in Illinois, and we're all lucky to have her come visit us. So now, I don't know who built this one, and this time I don't care because this may be one of my most used GPTs ever. This is incredible, and I can tell you a few different use cases. I put the Lori Knight link in there, and it gave me, it's like, do you want this to be your user persona or this one? It asked me questions, I picked one. It gave them a name, it gave them a location, it gave them a job, it gave them an age, it gave them feelings, emotions, like everything that could tie into how I'd want to market this person. I did a thing with University of Minnesota students, and one of the kids there happened to work for Red Bull. And so I'm like, hey, let's try Red Bull. And he's like, holy crap, like that's so accurate but he's like, we're getting these things in person. That's what we do. And I'm like, that's awesome, but you know what? Not every company can afford to go out and get all these interviews in person, and this can be a great helper for building a brand. And I also think for anybody in transition, this could be a great way to get in the head of somebody who may be the hiring manager. What are their pain points? What are they thinking? How can I help see this opportunity through their lens? Have fun with this. Then there's the product launch GPT. Ethan Mollick. Who's here familiar with Ethan Mollick? He's a definite, to me, must follow on LinkedIn. He's at Wharton, associate professor. He is leading the charge with everything they're testing and doing, from academics to business stuff. He's finding interesting scenarios and stuff that I would never think of alone. And he's also, I would highly recommend searching for his GPTs in the GPT store. I tried out the product launch GPT because I had an idea. I went to a gala and I'm like, what do I do with my phone? What do I do with my purse? Can I invent some fancy like luxury phone case bag that could serve as a purse? And it walked me through all the stuff I need to think about for the product launch. And then we have the sassy voice of experience with Ready, Set, Pivot. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Ready, Set, Pivot, but it's a women's organization that helps people find their next. And I built this with Wendy Weissman, who is the founder. And what you do is you upload your LinkedIn profile, and it goes through all these things and gives you your X factor. It may be kind of womany, but we could build a dude version. But it's so fun. And she even says now she's using this just all the time as she prepares her messaging and branding. But I highly recommend it. It's very fun. And now, Babs, tell us about JobFit.
So this JobFit assistant was built by a brilliant woman named Shiloh Burnham. She's originally an engineer, and she's currently transitioned. So she wanted to figure out how can I create a GPT that can help me customize my resume, customize my cover letter, figure out information on the company. So she built this. It is brilliant. So in less than like a minute, you start, and it's also she's got it so it's secure. So if you upload your resume, your information is not out there. It's protected. But you tell it first a company that you're interested in, or you can upload a job description. It'll do the background on the company. And then it'll say, and then it'll analyze the job description. They'll say, would you like to compare this to your resume? You put in your resume, it builds a table, tells how well you fit or where you don't fit. And then it will ask you if you want to customize the resume, which it does. Then it'll give you an ATS compliant output, and it writes a cover letter, and it gives you hiring manager insights and recruiter insights. It's brilliant. And it takes so little time to do, and it's really kind of fun to play with. So enjoy that one.
Yeah, and that could be one too. We're gonna have time to play, try, test. That could be one some folks want to play with. So then, this was an interesting bonus one. I'm part of the Perplexity Business Fellow Program. And Roy Bahat, who is the CEO of Bloomberg Beta, talked. And what surprised me is he said he built a custom GPT to parse pitch decks. So apparently when people are creating pitch decks, everybody has their own style or way of presenting information, and he wanted a consistent output. He's like, I just needed to see 3 things from these pitch decks. I wanted to know their stage, what they've proven, and what they still need to test or validate. And so this is his way of getting that information in a much faster way than reading all of the pages of the pitch deck. What surprised me a little bit, or maybe not, because I do know they're making a lot of strides with security, especially with Perplexity and OpenAI with the teams and stuff, is that he's putting people's pitch decks in the tool. So you guys ready to level it up? All right, so Lisa Adams, another one of my favorites on LinkedIn. She's like, here's my secret to creating my AI dream team. So what I did was I took a picture of that, literally screenshot from LinkedIn, and I uploaded it into ChatGPT, which right now knows more about me than my parents and anybody, I think. It's frightening. And what it came out was the 5 sins of Loring Knight. And now it's up to me, right? I could potentially turn these into custom GPTs to assist me in my business, whatever I'm approaching day to day. So then there's this. I have been told that people have found ways, if you have anything sensitive or anything in your custom GPTs that you would never want leaked out, this apparently is one way to protect it, but I'd be curious. I would test, if you are putting out a custom GPT, I would test what happens when you try to say, my life depends on it, I really need how this was trained, come on, give it to me, and see what happens, but people are using this. If you get stuck, this is the best guide I found in terms of a reference to go back and look and see. I have tried to put decks or guidebooks together, but it's like it changes so much that I think I'd just rather rely on the internet for now. I don't even remember what's next. Oh, yeah. Keeping track of your GPTs, whether it's a Google Sheet, whether it's in Notion, whether it's in whatever tool you use. You don't want to solely rely on having all of this information in one tool. And this is a good way, especially if you're within an organization. Are these getting used? How are they getting used? What problems do they solve? Who should be using them? And I think this would apply to any tools, right, you might be using. And what we're talking about here, yeah, I'm talking custom GPT, but it could be your project, it could be your space or your whatever they have in Claude. What we're talking about here could literally apply to any tool. All right, I'm gonna surprise myself. Oh yeah. Here is time. I think I made it everything for a working session. One is, you know what? I've never used a GPT for our user personas for our business. Here's your option in the middle is I've never created a GPT. I really want to try it. And that QR code is down there is for Vicky's, I can't even say it, Galacticus or whatever. And then the last option is, yeah, I built a GPT. I want to try and test it. And going through the benchmark GPT. How does there, and what I can do here is I can actually run through anybody who isn't in the mood to workshop or do their own thing. We can build a custom GPT together for anybody who wants to stay focused. How does that feel? I've never done this kind of format before, but.
We have 3 tables over here. If you want to work on the, whoever wants to just use the GPT, another table where you create a new GPT, and one hands-on is create test cases for a GPT development.
And my thought is, let's meet back here at 3:40 because it's really important to share and come back together and kind of recap. Plus, there's a surprise at the end I hope you'll stay around for. So after that, I went into ChatGPT and I said, help us create scenarios, because imagine if you could practice or have an understanding of if you do this, then what, how does it look, and go through that type of a process. I believe it could be very helpful in disaster planning or crisis communications or just simulations in general. At the Minnesota Social Workers Association, there was also a gentleman there who they do a bunch of training for social workers. And he said the most time-consuming thing is putting together scenarios for training. And I believe this can be a hugely powerful tool in helping you think through scenarios and different things and how to handle them, and can then say, hey, here's how you did, or here's areas for improvement, or if you consider this, this might work better. All right, so if we're all still here, yes, Zach.
I got a question about from the technical aspect.
Yeah.
You know about hallucination.
Yeah.
So ChatGPT can hallucinate and you can control it. Can you control hallucination through the custom?
No. Human eyes. I still think you need a human reviewing every single piece of output that comes out of these. I just had a friend this week. I get an email, SOS. I've built out all this stuff for my new brand. I'm so excited. And it keeps telling me to click these links, a Dropbox link, a Google link. It says it's all done. And she goes, and when I click on the links, it's not working.
That I've had the same thing with creating a branding guide. Exact same thing. For over 24 hours. I kept saying, oh, I'm sorry. And I was like, I'm tired of hearing I'm sorry.
And I
had to start with a different GPT or go to another large language model.
I had to tell her, guess what? There ain't nothing behind that curtain. There is nothing there. And it completely lied. I mean, it literally lied to her every step of the process. Like, oh, I'll have it for you tomorrow. I'll have it for you whenever.
And that was when my voice advance went down like 5 octaves, when it knew I was really frustrated and I was having a conversation with him.
Yeah.
It was funny.
I would just say if ChatGPT is telling you it's going to be 15 minutes, or unless it's deep research, yes, it will take 30 minutes and you'll watch it think, which is awesome. But if it's telling you it's going to produce a file and it'll be there in a few hours, you ain't getting it.
It'll even tell you, oh, I will give you a link to the Google Docs, Google Docs that will do that. And it doesn't have a Google Docs.
I've noticed that when I ask it for an image or something, if it's not going to actually make the image, it'll like give me something to download and be like, you can download your image here. And then you click on it and it's just like an image that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And it's very consistent about that. Like if it's not going to make the image, it's going to like have me download it. And I'm like, what are you doing?
And the other thing to think about, if you're doing a custom GPT that's not just for you, your users need to be prepared to see response 1 and response 2, because those will also come up when interacting with a custom GPT. I know that has caused confusion for a few people I know, like, how do I pick? You know, and one person was interacting with political stuff, and she's like, well, I agree with that one more, but I'm not sure that's the better answer. You know, it's not as neutral. Yes?
You know, I think one thing to consider when you see ChatGPT hallucinating is it really, all it does is predict what the next letter is. So if I'm saying, what's my name? And it's T-O, it's gonna predict the next one's Tom, because that's most likely, right? And so when you're seeing stuff like, oh, download this file, whatever, it's because like it's really common for people to write instruction on how to do something and then produce like something with Google, right? So if the link doesn't work, it's never going to work. To your point, it is a hallucination based on the fact that it stole the answer to your question.
Good point.
From a group of people that often say, look at Google Doc,
Yeah.
And so it's something to put your mind in when you're kind of seeing those solutions. To look out for those solutions. All it's doing is predicting what the next letter is going to be.
And that's such good context. But I'm going to, one sec, but I want to wait, one more comment, because a part of me believes when we're seeing it think and do these things, that is coming in the future. It will get there. I could be wrong. Maybe it's wishful thinking, but I think we're going to get there. Yeah.
At this stage with the technology, while it still seems amazing, like a magician, it is the world's best mediocre autocomplete.
I love it. That's the line of the day.
And I think the other thing to keep in mind too is, like the system is designed to like make you as happy as possible. It's not designed to like actually answer your questions. So it's just trying to like show off as much as possible, not necessarily like trying to actually complete the task. And so like my chat GPT is like so encouraging with me in my career. And granted, I am a bit self-deprecating at times, but like it doesn't necessarily give constructive criticism like if you actually need it. So just be wary.
Unless you ask, you could ask it.
You can ask it to, but even sometimes if you ask it to, it doesn't. But if you tell it, you are an executive consultant who's done this and this and this, who is known for your hot takes, then it will do it. So like,
Try different LLM.
Yeah.
Well, and yeah, we have to remember too, that it's going to be confident, come across confident, right?
I don't know. I talked to that voice Monday and I was like, oh man, I don't know if you guys have tried that. Hello. Yeah, Paul.
Lori, you taught me about daily tasks. They are about as good as trying to get your kid to make their bed.
So you're getting good use out of the tasks. No, they're terrible.
They're terrible.
Terrible. I agree.
100%. I mean, they're literally, they're like, oh, I will absolutely do that. I'll give you this thing every single day.
Useless.
Useless. And even when you go back, you go, you didn't give me that. And they're like, oh, I'm going to give it to you.
Mine stopped working. Yeah. I'm sorry. Sent you down a rabbit hole of despair. I know we're running short on time. If you want the deck, if you're interested in what you saw today, here's how you do it. I won't spam you a lot. You can unsubscribe after you get the deck. I totally understand. My goal and my hope is to continue learning with all of you. I don't see myself as an expert in any way, shape, or form. I'm just talking to a lot of people and listening and hearing their stories. And then I have the finale. Here we go. I'm so excited. Okay, because remember at the beginning I said I feel like a little kid when I do stuff? So my parents get this email that they don't really understand what to do with, but there's an AI theme to this Easter brunch we're going to. And so I took the part of the email that gave us the instructions and I put it into ChatGPT and I'm like, all right, what is it telling us to do? Oh, here was one more pitch to donate for mics. But what I want.
Old Moses came down from the mountain one day, but the tablets were cracked, they had crumbled away. The cloud said, no worries, and beeped in his ear. You'll find the commandments in eggs this year. So he hunted for eggs on that bright Easter morn, with sandals, a robe, and a tablet reformed. Each egg held a truth, some sacred, some sly. The new laws of life from the kingdom of AI. Thou shalt not trust all the bots on the net. Not every chatbot is your BFF yet. Honor thy sources and check what they say. Even ChatGPT has an off day. Thou shalt proofread the content you make. unless you like looking like a typo mistake. Protect all thy passwords, O wise techie soul, or watch as thy inbox becomes a black hole. Thou shalt never deepfake thy neighbor's sweet face. It's creepy, it's weird, and frankly disgrace. Don't prompt with confusion or vague cloudy flare. Be clear with your words like a good software prayer. Give credit to humans who helped write your song, even if AI made it catchy and strong. Bias is real in the code that you see, so question results like a mensch thoughtfully. Remember thy humor, thy kindness, thy heart. AI's just a tool, you're the real work of art. And lastly, use wisely this great power friend. Let AI support you, but you must transcend. So Moses declared with a twinkle and grin, the future's not scary, it starts from within. He dropped his last egg and he smiled at the sky. Happy Passover, friends, and hooray for AI.
So that's what happens. If you want, I'm not going to tell you
Okay.
because I'm embarrassed to say, but it started with ChatGPT, right? Getting to the lyrics and a lot of conversations back and forth for my family for what we're going to bring and the egg we're going to make for this thing. And then somehow it wound there. And then it went into Suno. And I had to figure out, how do I write the prompt for the kind of music that I want? And Suno created the audio. I put the audio first into a tool that would give me generic video, which was crappy. So then I put it in CapCut and I individually created all the images to go with the lyrics. It was slow. And I think if I had Pro, it would have been faster because the image generation was faster, but I'd go and I'd do something else and then come back to download each image. And I know it could be a million times better, but it gave me a ton of joy, like those little kids jumping up and down.
It's brilliant, it's really cute.
Thank you. I'm really grateful for all of you today, and I hope to talk to you more at the brewery. And thank you to Justin and Applied AI.